And moving on to topic 3, we've got more sort of solo R&B artist music. We're going to do a review of June's today's full album, mini album. I don't really know what it's classified as, but it has 10 tracks, so it might be a full album. For those that aren't familiar with June, he is one of the members of PLT, a sort of hip hop R&B music collective. They're not a band, or they're not a K-pop group. They try to like emphasize that point that they're not K-pop. So he's one of their vocalists for the group. This is his first release of the year. He's done other sort of minis and random singles throughout the past year or so. So he's definitely one of my favorite vocalists from PLT and just in general. So starting the album off, we have 6 a.m. Sam, what are your thoughts on 6 a.m.? The time and the time period and the actual song.
Yeah, I mean it's an intro. It was groovy. I liked it. About like halfway in, the beat and the bass kind of kicks in. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. Like I was excited going into this. I mean, I know PLT. Cooper made me listen to them, so I have knowledge of them.
Is Cooper just like the catalyst for you listening to like a lot of music at this
Pretty
point?
much, like, and Baron, both of you guys get me to listen to a bunch of stuff, and I go with it. But it's an intro, yeah.
So I thought this was a really good intro, partially because there's no singing on it.
What do you have against June and Cold?
But I really liked like the distorted piano. Like I thought that was a really cool addition to the song. It's an intro. I liked it. That's about all my thoughts.
Again, as a sucker for lo-fi like vibes, just like beats to relax and study to. Like literally this whole album is just that entire like YouTube freaking channel thing, just like definitely got the lo-fi going on. So I love Radio Static to start off the sort of thing, and as you mentioned, the sort of distorted piano, just like how like the chords sort of echo out in that sort of way. Just a really good intro. Cooper gave individual track by track analysis for this because he's probably a bigger PLT stan than me at this point, and he found PLT like way after I did. So he says it's a solid intro with some lo-fi sounds, then turns into a piano and rain R&B track that reminds you of something Hayes would include on our album. I really dig it. So if Cooper's invoking the name of Hayes, that means he's gonna like it a lot. I can already tell. Moving on, we've got Good Morning featuring Villain, who all the features of on this album are all other members of PLT, and Villain is one of the more like I guess hip hop focused ones. So it's interesting to see him feature on this like chill soundtrack type of thing. Sam, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, Villain, I think he's my second favorite of the PLT.
Of PLT?
Yeah, I mean, I thought his feature wasn't really necessary in this. Like, yeah, he was in it. One thing that I thought was so interesting about this song is I didn't notice it the first time, but it fades in, which is weird. Like,
you never hear fade-ins.
Yeah, because I noticed the fade out. I noticed the fade out in the first listen, and I just went, "Are you kidding me? I haven't heard a fade out in like years."
Fade outs died like 10, 15 years ago.
like that was a big thing in like the 70s or whatever, and they didn't know how to end a song. And so at first I was like, "Oh, that's stupid. Like, why'd they do that?" Then when I heard it faded in, like my second time listening, I was like, "Okay, sure. I guess that's kind of cool." So I make it. What else did I have? Oh, I got really excited when he started singing because I like his voice.
Okay.
And after listening to Cold, I was like, oh, this is a voice. Like, thank you. Like, this is how you sing. And like he was like scatting. Like I was like, what is this? And then there's this one part. At first, I thought it was a tempo change. I thought I got faster, but I think it was just cut time. I think it was the same. But it was just going twice as fast. But I thought that was really cool.
And cut time kind of fits on this type of R&B type of thing, especially with like him like scatting and like doing the vocalizations. That definitely fits in with the vibe of the whole song. So
yeah,
Baron, this was okay. Like this is not really the kind of music I would ever listen to. The vocals are just. It's not that the vocals are bad. It's just that I don't personally like that kind of style. I'm sure he's perfectly talented. No opinion on that. I didn't notice the fade in, but I did notice the fade out, and I thought I didn't like the ending of it. And there's also like that weird part where like the music kind of like abruptly cuts out for a moment and then cuts back on, and then like it fades out, and I just didn't like the ending of it.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Yeah, in the fade out, it like cuts out.
Yeah.
And then cuts back in. I noticed that too. I was like, that was awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, so not a fan of that. The feature I thought was kind of unnecessary. Like it wasn't a bad feature. It felt like it didn't really need to be there at all. Overall, it was okay. Decent enough song.
Okay, Sam, I'm glad you actually like his voice because he has one of the smoothest voices in all of the country of South Korea. Like that is like he is an incredible singer. So as someone that is a huge fan of these smooth R&B type songs, like this is as June as you can get. I like the villain feature mostly just because it's kind of a change up for him. He usually does these really hype tracks. Like he sings for the most part, but most of the songs he sings all over are just like really hype songs. So for him to do this like really chill type of song is like a really nice change up or just a surprise in many ways for him to sort of apply his voice to this, and it still fits, or he does a good job of tailoring that sound to it well. So I felt like this was a good way to sort of start off the album. And I like the sort of like fade in fade out type of thing kind of like plays in with the sort of whole like radio type notion. It's like, oh, you're randomly stumbling upon the song, and just like it sort of starts in that sort of way, and you're just tuning out at the end, that sort of thing. See, I love when they're creative in that sense. Cooper's notes were, this is a classic mid-tempo PLT song. Then the breakdown hits with some light scatting and a full jazz instrumental that I absolutely love. Villain sounds amazing here, and their voices play well together. So Cooper's just gonna be like me, just like praise every song essentially, just because he loves June and PLT. So we're on to Welcome Home.
Okay, so I think this one was more, like a ballad. I guess that's what I have in my notes. His voice, once again, I was loving his voice, and like it's really all I have for my notes. This one was really short. I remember the first time I listened to this, it was like over
a little over 2 minutes.
Yeah, like I think I was doing something else and I wasn't really paying attention. All of a sudden it was over. I didn't write anything. I missed the whole song. But I mean, like, yeah, it was a good song. Like his voice was the focus, and I was digging it. I like his voice.
That's actually the exact same thing that happened to me, is that I was kind of like doing something else at the same time. So I started listening to it, and then I didn't write anything down. And then the next song had started, and I started writing down notes under this song for the next song because I didn't even realize the song had ended yet. But overall, didn't like the song. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, the Welcome Home and 4 definitely blend into each other very seamlessly. I definitely have that experience as well. But with this one, I specifically like how it builds up because it's pretty much just June's voice and an electronic guitar, and like the electric guitar is just incredibly sort of fitting, and yeah, you really don't need much else to sort of accentuate the vocals here. But again, this falsetto is incredible. It's just as good, if not better, than Cold's falsetto. So just really big fan of that. Cooper says, sometimes all a song needs is a great vocalist and a guitar. That ending gives me chills. Definitely, just the way sort of it builds up in that sort of way is a lot of it's just definitely memorable. So next we have 4.
Yeah, so
and it's the fourth track on the album. you clever.
I think like halfway through this song, I think I realized it's all in English, isn't it? The song, like
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, halfway through, I was like, oh, it's English. Wait, it's still in English. Is the whole thing in English? Yeah, it was all in English. And one thing, I was loving his voice. I was loving the instrumental. He was scatting again. And there were some snaps going on. I love a snap in a song. I think it's really fun. And I don't remember how this one ended, but I remember I was not satisfied. Like, I think how a song ends is really important. And I remember because I was already frustrated about that one song that faded out. I don't remember how this one ended, but I think it was some sort of abrupt ending. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, that's not, it didn't, yeah. But overall, like the song was good, but my main focus was like I didn't like how it ended, so it gave me a negative kind of feel of the song.
Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of like the scatting. Like it wasn't really doing it for me. So that part is, but there's like a nice instrumental part where he isn't singing. Totally hated that part. So it's not awful. I mean, like I do like these instrumentals, and his voice isn't bad. It's just it just doesn't do much for me. So this is another just meh.
This is definitely the most traditional, like 90s R&B sounding song on the entire album, and as someone that grew up on that stuff, it's incredible. Like you can definitely tell the influence he's pulling from a lot of American R&B artists. Just the way his vocalization goes, or just the way that these instrumentals are presented, it's definitely heavily influenced by what they were doing over here in the U.S. I really do applaud him for singing the entire song in English. I did not expect that at all, and I feel like the chorus is probably the strongest on the entire album, just because I love like that build up into the falsetto. Do 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 do. Like it's he can sing me to sleep at this point. Like his voice is so good. Oh man. Cooper said, I was not expecting a full English song. I didn't even know he was fluent in English. Yeah, same. I really didn't know, because they don't do English. I mean, yeah, they do English like smatterings like they do in all K-pop songs, but I mean, he's never done a full English song like this before. So Cooper says, I love how he can make a really simple production work in his favor, just some light piano and some snaps, and I'm completely captivated by the whole song. This is for sure one of my favorites on the album. I agree, Cooper. Next is Waltz, which features Gaho, also of PLT.
Yeah, so Gaho's my favorite member of PLT, like hands down. So, like all my comments are just pretty much just like Gaho's in it. I'm happy. Like when they were like harmonizing together, I was just
Oh my god,
I was loving it. Like I love Gaho. And one thing I thought that was kind of it was fitting. It's called Waltz. It's in 3/4.
Yes,
I love 3/4.
It's in 3/4. I was so happy.
Like it makes sense. Happy. Like it doesn't take too much to please me, I guess, with this song. The tape sound came back in this, like the whole kind of like cassette tapey kind of feel that they had, I guess, in the intro. It kind of made its way back in this song, so that's kind of cool. Keeping the consistency in the album. But yeah, that was my big thing. So yeah, Gaho and 3/4. That's all I need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
I remember when we did the PLT listen through in Discord. I was not a fan of like almost anybody who was there, but when it came to the Gaho songs, I was like, oh man, this is actually really good.
Yeah,
he's so good.
He has a powerful voice, and like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of those, but Gaho is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, so like I wasn't here for almost any of them, but all the Gaho songs were great. I love his voice on this. I agree that the way he harmonizes is really good. The song's quite enjoyable. It's not my favorite song on the album, but this is a very good song, and I have no complaints about it.
Mm-hmm. As someone that's a sucker for, again, like lo-fi sort of sound effects, especially freaking cassette tapes, as someone that's a weirdo that collects K-pop cassette tapes, I love those sound effects for songs. Again, like you mentioned, Sam, using 3/4 since it's a waltz. The second I realized that, I just had the stupidest smile on my face when I was the first time I listened.
Yeah, I did the same. Like I saw it was called Waltz, and I was like, it's gonna be in 3/4, right? And then it was. I was like, okay, good.
So I feel like this was the perfect song for Gaho to feature on, specifically one because the vocalizations that they both do are just incredible. The way they harmonize and interact with each other in terms of vocals is insane for a group that mostly makes its name known for like hip hop songs. They have some of these incredible ballad singers on here as well. So yeah, that really made this song for me, just the way that they interacted with each other vocally. Cooper says, when that Gaho hits, though. that's his first line. He says, we seriously do not have enough Gaho tracks. Their harmonies together are incredibly beautiful. That alone makes this my favorite song. So definitely Cooper's the good indication of taste here. Next, we're on to the lead single off of this album, entitled Tonight, with a comma after it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Tonight,
so
what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen tonight? What?
Yeah. Well, this was random. Just like with the other albums, like the title track was kind of random. But yeah, it's like New Jack Swing. I was like, okay, like it was just so upbeat and I was feeling it. I mean, at some point I got a little bored. I was like, okay, all it has is it's New Jack Swing. And then like the this part in the chorus where he does like the da 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 hey like I was like the way he says hey, I'm just like that is so like not that good, but and then like, I remember when I was listening to the song, like I was getting kind of bored. I was like, okay, it's leveled off. Then all of a sudden, like the bridge like got like weird. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm feeling this. And then I remember in the music video, there's like a dance break that happens, but it's too dark to even see what they're doing.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Yeah, and yeah, and the music video was really cool. It was weird seeing a New Jack Swing song in like high quality.
Yeah.
Normally they have like the grainy, like, oh, it's the 90s effect, whereas this was like perfectly clear. Like it was weird. It was interesting. It was different. You also don't see him in the music video till like I feel like over a minute into it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there he is. And yeah, I don't remember if there was like a story happening. It was just a bunch of partying. I remember there was a girl. Like, yeah, it was a music video.
I really enjoyed the song. This is one of my two favorite songs on the album. Really good synths, and I like good synths. The instrumental that opens the song is really fantastic. The weird part with like the distorted vocals, I don't know about that. Like that didn't really make sense to me. And then, as a general question, why is there a comma in the song title at the end?
I don't know. Oh, I really don't know why there's a comma, but
Yes.
Well, I mean, why is the album called Today's? Like,
today's what?
like
Tonight's what? Why are you leaving me hanging here?
Ooh.
The anticipation is killing me.
So overall, really enjoyed the song. Fantastic.
So again, I love New Jack Swing. I was all here for it when EXID did Lady, so I'm all here for it for June. Like his voice is just tailor made for this type of genre. Again, just he loves that '90s vibe, so no surprise he would have done a New Jack Swing song. I'd say in terms of singing, I guess it's not necessarily as impactful because he likes to belt in some songs, but I mean you can't really do that all too often in a New Jack Swing song. Like it just doesn't really like fit that well. But I mean I still love the vocal performance nonetheless. You can definitely tell that they have a limited budget with how the music video came out because it's pretty much it literally just takes place in like a basement or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just one set they probably filmed in like a couple hours. I mean you can definitely tell, but yeah, I wish the music video was better because I wish the music video matched how much I love the styling because he's got this crazy, well, one, his hair looks great, just like the like blonde highlights with like the sort of shaved like dark like sides. Basically, like every Korean like guy does that nowadays.
I was gonna say his hair I did not like.
Really? I like that. I'd love to do that hairstyle if I could pull it off, but I'm too scared to dye my hair. And also Asian hair is just like a bitch to dye. So also he has it like in the music video, he has this like colorful like rainbow striped Balenciaga sweater on, and I'm just like, oh, that's that is so New Jack Swing. That's so 90s. It's like a Coogee sweater or something. So like the styling is incredible. Even like for the girl, I guess it just looks like something from the time period. The vocoder breakdown was just probably the best part of the song for me. So that's definitely what sort of salvaged, I guess, the parts I didn't like as much. Cooper says, I knew he'd do a New Jack Swing song as the single. This doesn't disappoint. His voice fits the genre so well. The MV is super 80s and fun. Love the color grading and throwback vibes. Moving on, we've got Letter, which features Moti and Jung Jin-woo, also from PLT.
Yeah, so they're like my least two favorite members of PLT, especially Moti. Like, he wasn't like offensively bad in this song. Like, my first,
his voice,
like,
you love it or you hate it, really.
Yeah, like this, I was like, okay, this is fine. Like, this wasn't bad. Like, there have been other songs with him. I'm just like, I can't listen to this. But you know, he was fine. This is kind of the point in the album where I was starting to not care for June's voice as much. Like I felt like he used all of his tricks early
in
on.
like the first half.
Yeah, so like the falsetto now, I'm like, I'm not feeling it anymore. He's scatting again. I'm like, dude, you've done this twice now. Like, you've done it. Like, you need a new trick. And yeah. And then Jinwoo, I thought he was good. I liked his feature. I thought his falsetto was better than June's. So that might have also made me start realizing, like, okay, I don't know if June's falsetto is as good as I thought it was. But yeah.
I really like the song. Who was rapping at the start?
That's Moti.
I don't.
Moti.
I
Moti's
really
the
like
rapper.
that part,
Jung Jin-woo's more of a kind of like villain, where he's mostly a singer, but he does like more hype tracks, like electronic music as opposed to villains like hip hop type sounds. So
okay, well, I really like that part. I thought it was a really good feature. I like both the features actually. This is my other song that's my favorite, along with Tonight. I don't know which one is my favorite, but those two are standouts for me. It's really good. There's like a little bit like a different feel to it than a lot of the other songs on the album.
yeah.
And I thought the features they made good use of the features on the song. So definitely a fan.
This is another good song for me. Moti just freaking kills it with that opening verse. I was surprised that they'd start off with him, but and I mean Jung Jin-woo did a great job. I love his voice as well. I just wish there was more vocal interaction, kind of the same way that like June and Gaho had on Waltz. Like they really just kind of stayed isolated in their own sections of the song.
Yeah, this was really it was Moti, then it was June, then it was Jinwoo. It was just there was no interaction.
Yeah, I like that part, especially with features. So I feel like they could have done a bit better in that. But I mean, it's nothing that really kills the song like too much for me. Just I wish it would have been better if they did have more of that interaction. Cooper's notes are, this is Moti's best rap ever. Whoa.
I'd agree.
Shame about his album, though. He says, I have trouble differentiating June and Jinwoo's voice. Sometimes they're both, but they both definitely sound great here. This song has a really good groove to it, and I love the chorus. Definitely love the chorus. Next, we're on to Heaven.
Yeah, so I said this was nice. It had some piano. That was nice. He's like harmonizing, kind of layering vocal like with himself. I really like it when singers do that. They add another layer vocally on top of themselves. It adds more. It kind of becomes a more fuller sound. Once again, like my note at this point, I'm over the falsetto. Like it was starting to hurt my ears at this point. I was just like, it's just like either it's like too airy or it was just hitting me in a way where it's like. I was just kind of over it at this point. He's done it too often now that it's lost the effect. Plus, I liked Cold's falsetto more than June's. Like they had the opposite problems. Like when Cold was in the lower register, I was not feeling it. Like when June's in the lower register, I was like, this is good. Like, and yeah, the falsettos. Yeah, I liked Cold's more than I liked falsetto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. By this point in the album, I was kind of just like over it in general. So like, it's not a bad song, but I wouldn't have wanted to listen to this to begin with. And after already listening to like the whole album, especially after liking the last two songs, and then this one kind of being back to his previous style, it's like, I'm just waiting for it to get over. I'm done with this album.
Yeah, in a way, it's not a bad song. It just kind of gets overshadowed by other songs of this style just being like 100 times better. So like this just kind of just ends up being like the runt of the litter in a sort of way, especially at this point, like in the listening experience. But I mean, I still like the falsetto parts, personally. Cooper, yeah, definitely kind of started to tire. He just literally just wrote beautiful production and vocals again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so moving to the penultimate track, we have 12 a.m. My favorite time of night.
Yeah, so we started at 6 a.m. We got to 12 a.m. So, I made a note once again, like when he's in the lower register, I was really feeling it. I think this might have been my favorite. It was chill. I was jamming. There's a lot of sound effects that were going on because once again, I guess he's kind of bringing back like either like the tape recorder sound, like some sort of static kind of like it almost kind of reminded me of like a vinyl sound at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool. Like I really like the atmosphere that was created with this song, and I'm guessing because like the next song is like I guess a bonus kind of song that this should have been how it ended, and it would kind of lead back into the beginning nicely. So I kind of hate that they added like an extra song, where it's like it would have made sense to end right here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really liked I like this as an ending to the album.
That's like a pet peeve of mine in K-pop in general. Is like whenever they like make a thematic album start to finish, and then they throw bonus songs on the end that just completely ruin it.
It doesn't fit like well with what the rest of what's being presented.
Yeah, like even if the songs are good, like the one that comes to mind is IU's Modern Times.
I was gonna say repackages when they just throw in a song at the end on the repackage.
Like, I'd rather they throw it in at the end than what some albums do, like I think Luna's done this before, or no, maybe Twice has, where they throw the new songs just randomly in between.
Red Velvet
like,
does.
I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like on Taeyeon's My Voice repackage, they actually put the song in a correct order that the album still flows well, and I like that. But anyways, back to the original song. I feel like it's a good way to end the album. It would have been a good way to end the album.
Yeah.
It kind of like ties up the themes of the album pretty well, and I do like how the album flows start to finish. But the song itself is just kind of like my only notes I wrote down are meh. Like it's a good way to end the song, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I'd say most of my notes were just how nice it sort of tied together everything thematically, like you guys mentioned. It's bringing that album full circle again. Just definitely is a big plus in my book. For again, we don't really get this in K-pop, or people don't really. Usually, K-pop albums are just a smattering of singles, whereas this definitely June put a lot of thought into arrangement and just theme. So I felt like this would have been a good way to properly end the music or the entire album. Cooper says, there's some cool TV sounds at the end. I think he likes it still, but yeah. And the actual last song on the album is The Way You Feel Inside band version.
Very like lewd title, but yes. So the first thing I was like, okay, band version, so there must be an original version, which I did check out. So I was comparing the two. I don't know which one I like more. I think I like the band one more. But it's like I like the beginning of the original more, but I like the ending of the band one more. So at first I was digging it. I thought it was really nice. He does like the scat. He was still doing that. He's doing a little scuba dooba, like going in there, and then the band comes in, and then I remember I think I had this happen with Tonight, or this one it kind of leveled off, and I was like, okay, the song's going. Then all of a sudden this electric guitar just goes in, it just goes off, and I had no idea what was happening, and then. Yeah, whereas the original kind of had more of an opposite effect, where it started off stronger, it had a little dubsteppy kind of vibe to it at one point, where I was like, whoa, this is weird. But then it just leveled off and didn't come back. Whereas I liked the band one where it's it just all of a sudden just goes. So, it really threw me off. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
So I had the same thought. When I first saw the title, I was like, I wonder what the original version sounds like. But then after I listened to the band version and I realized that the only things I liked about the song were all the band parts, I just skipped listening to the original part. But that said, I really dig electric guitars in music, but and especially in K-pop, or even though this isn't K-pop, Korean adjacent, they're so rarely utilized. And I thought this was a really good use of electric guitar, so definitely here for that. But the fact that it feels like half the song is just him scatting, I at this point I was completely out on that. So overall, I actually like the song better than a lot of other songs on the album, but it's purely because of the band parts of it. And it's a good song, but I feel like it's a bad way to end this album.
I mean, I love that sort of ad-lib nature that you get with a lot of these jazzy type songs, and definitely fits his vocal range and the type of vibe he likes to go after. So yeah, just I did go back, or I had some familiarity with the original version of this song, and it's incredible just how much an instrumental can completely change a song. I mean, I've mentioned that before with like the with like Did It Do It Do doing the remix, or Every Day's remix by Winner, like just how much like that instrumental really just carries, I guess, the sort of feeling that you get, where the sort of like genre you get with completely changed genres, essentially just, yeah, where it's more of an electronic vibe. The original song just like has like kind of a drop towards the chorus, whereas this is, yeah, definitely just a completely different like vibe to it. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, the band accompaniment is definitely the highlight of it. I'm being a bass player myself. I'm a sucker for anything that has a really sexy bass line, but specifically the drum parts, the drum fills are just like butter. Like that was great. And I love vocalizations, obviously, being a fan of this type of music. Yeah, I have no intention of listening to the original version anymore. The band version just completely blows it out of the water. Cooper says, this is one of my favorite songs on the PLT albums, and this rework completely blew me away still. The band instrumentals, especially the drums, add so much new variety to the song, an excellent way to close the album. So yeah, Cooper's pretty high on this one too. So having finished the track list, let's get on to song ratings again. Sam, what are you giving June's today?
So for the music, I gave it a 5.5. And I was happier with this musically than Cold's album. Even though like Cold did instrumentally cooler things, I was vibing more with this thanks to June's voice. And then for concept, I really didn't know how to like.
Yeah, it's hard to score concepts when there's no.
I gave it a 2 because I'm like, it's a 2. Like there's nothing like too extremely awesome and nothing too extremely bad. Like it. So 7.5 is the score.
Okay, so I did not like this song as much, or this album as much as Cold's. The songs just didn't really do much for me. There's a few standout songs that are good, but they're not good enough to make me want to listen to this album again, so I probably won't. So since I just rate things based on whether or not I would like to listen to it again, I'm only going to give it a 3.5 out of 7 for music.
Oh man,
Cooper just dies.
So
Cooper just had a heart attack in the middle of Target somewhere.
Apologies for being the Grinch on this one. The concept, I agree. It's kind of hard to like rate stuff like this. I didn't like the album art that much, but the music video was okay. So I'm going to give it 2 out of 3 for 5.5 total.
Okay, 5.5. So for me, I still give it 3.5 out of 3.5 for the single, because I love I just love his voice so much, and him doing just my reaction when I first heard that it was a whatchamacallit, like friggin' New Jack Swing song was just, I was like, oh, that's all I need to know. That's really all I need to know. So it probably wasn't the best song on the album, but for a single, I completely understand why he went for it, and I still enjoyed it. Perfect marks again for the album, 3.5 out of 3.5. I loved, again, I love when they put thought into the album. I love when you tie it in just 6 a.m. and 12 a.m. and just how all of that flows together. His falsetto and his vocals are just some of the smoothest in K-pop, and I hope he, as well as PLT, just blows up, because there's a lot of like, they're super just like underrated at this point, and I feel like more people need to listen to this, because oh man, like I feel like June could go on like Masked Singer, and then just like nobody would know, and then he'd blow up, hopefully, because I mean he just has an incredible voice, and he really showcased it on this whole album. Concept, I'm probably only going to give it 2 out of 3 for, just because again it's kind of hard to judge this, and also I feel like they could have done better with the music video, but most of it's going towards styling, and I guess just like cinematography in some ways, just how they made it look really 90s. So that's a total of 9 out of 10 for me. Cooper gave like a closing thought on all of this. He says, the PLT boys all need their own full album, except maybe Moti. Rip Moti stands, I'm sorry. Based on this album and Jung Jinwoo's Rotate, they can do so much more with a full album, lets them really shine. There's no songs here that I would remove or skip. It's a perfectly cohesive piece of work from start to finish. My favorite songs are Waltz, 4, and Tonight. Stan PLT. He gave 7 out of 7 for music and 3 out of 3 for concept for a 10 out
course.
of 10. You had to expect it. He is the PLT stan. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, Cooper.
putting all those numbers into the calculator, we get a total of 8 out of 10. So just the assassination of PLT or of June and Cold. That's the title of this episode. We would have had a shiny if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Hey, you asked for it.
I know, but it's still good. It's good for you to, I guess, represent the side of like people that don't necessarily listen to K-pop normally, so they can sort of judge opinions or sort of gauge different opinions. So, what are your guys' thoughts on June's Today album? Do you like this style of R&B singing? Do you stand PLT? Please say yes. Do you want him to do more New Jack Swing? Also say yes. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. You know those clips from Produce 101 when they show people like messing up the notes in practice? Like think that, but somebody actually recorded it on a song. Like that's the only way I can describe this. And I know it's really harsh, but like even for pop music, there's some semblance of